Board of Appeals, please listen to the rules and procedures that will follow for tonight's meeting.
Good evening, and welcome to tonight's meeting of the Town of Babylon Zoning Board of Appeals. The following is the procedure that will be followed tonight. The matters will be called in the order they appear on the calendar, with adjourned matters being called at the end of the regularly scheduled matters. Matters cannot be heard prior to their published scheduled time. When your matter is called, please submit the affidavit of posting to the secretary and proceed to the podium and give your name and address. The chairperson will then swear you in and read into the record information we have from your application, comments from various town departments, and any correspondence received on your application. The chairperson will then ask you to make whatever presentation you wish to make to the board. After you have made your presentation, the board will ask whatever questions the board deems appropriate, and then we will ask for comments from the public. If you wish to speak for or against an application, we ask that you wait until you're acknowledged, come forward, give us your name and address, tell us where your property is in relation to the property that's in question tonight, and then please direct your comments to the board, not the applicant or the applicant's representative. We have to keep a record, and we cannot do that if there are people talking over each other or cross conversations. If someone has spoken for or against an application, and they have said exactly the same thing that you wish to say, it will have the same force and effect in the record if you give your name and address, are sworn in, and say that you join in those comments. If you have anything additional to say, please don't hesitate to do so, but keep in mind that you will be given only one opportunity to speak. After the public has spoken, the board may ask the applicant to come back to answer any questions that may have come up as a result of the public comments, or for the applicant to summarize. When the applicant comes back to answer any additional questions, if that happens, that does not start a second round of public comments. Once the matter has been heard, various things may occur. The board may decide the application immediately. It may reserve decision. If the board reserves decision, that does not mean the matter is approved or denied. It just means that the board needs more time to decide, may want to go out and look at the site again, or might want to review the documents and testimony further before making a decision. In either event, the applicant will receive the board's decision in writing shortly after the board makes its decision. If the application is approved, that does not mean that you can then go ahead and start construction or whatever it is that you requested from the board. You will have to wait for the building permit to be obtained from the building department before your go-ahead. On some occasions, the matter may be continued for another night. If it is continued, in most cases it will be for the submission of documents, a new survey, new plans, or something of that nature. If that's the case, no one needs to come back on the new date. The documents will be submitted and no further testimony will be taken. On rare occasions, a matter may be continued for future testimony. If that's the case, then people would have to come back to testify. If matters are adjourned at an open meeting on the scheduled date of hearing, no further notice need be given unless specifically required by the board on the date the adjournment is granted. 3 rules that may affect your ability to proceed tonight. 1, if the sign was not posted for 10 days, we cannot hold the hearing tonight. 2, if you commence this proceeding while you own the property, but no longer own the property, and you are here now to continue with the application, you will need either the written consent of the new owner or the new owner to be present for the hearing. This situation could come about if you sold your house or building, money was held in escrow at closing for a certificate of occupancy or permit, and you're here tonight to clear that up. Lastly, if your application is a commercial application and it's other than a renewal and there is more than one tenant in the building, then you need your landlord to be here. Is there any applicant that has any difficulty with those situations and would need an adjournment tonight?
Is there anyone that would need an adjournment? Please rise and join the board in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, before we begin, there are 4 adjournments on our agenda tonight. Application 26-38, property located on Baylawn Street in Copeg. That is being adjourned to May the 28th. Is there anyone here on that application? Application 2644, New Horizons Boulevard in North Amityville. That's being adjourned to April the 30th. Application 26-6 of Roberts Plywood, property located in Deer Park. That is being adjourned to April 23rd. And lastly, application 2645 of Triple S Hill, property located in North Amityville. That's being adjourned to May the 14th. Anybody here on any of those applications? Okay. First application tonight is application 2648 of John and Kristen Mahoney, property located in West Babylon.
Good evening.
Name and address for the record, please.
John Mahoney, 624 Peconic Avenue, West Babylon, New York, 11704.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated April 9th, 2026. Environmental Control memo dated April 13th, 2026. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. We have a survey by William Simmons dated September 15th, 2023. Plans by Spaces Architecture dated January 12th, 2026. We have 5 photographs, and we also have the affidavit of posting. What would you like to tell us about the application?
We are working with Spaces on plans for a second floor addition on our home. My wife and I are expecting a second child, and we need more space, and we don't want to leave the neighborhood. So that's the genesis of it, I suppose.
Okay. I'll turn the hearing over to Mr. Shepherd.
How are you?
Good evening. Thank you.
So I got a couple of questions for you. The rear deck, is that the original?
Yes.
Has any of the dimensions changed? It's the same width, depth, height, same height?
Exactly the same.
Everything's the
since-
same?
Yeah.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to delete variance number 3, diminish rear setback from 30 to 27.7 for the rear deck.
All in favor?
Aye.
You don't need that one. Now, the pool was, when was that built?
2024.
And was there a reason why you didn't get a permit for it?
That was an oversight on our part. We didn't realize for an above-ground installation it was needed.
Everything being legalized now?
Yes.
You agree? And you agree that the rear deck's not being enclosed, further enclosed?
Yes, we agree.
No canopy, nothing over the top of them?
No plans for that ever.
I have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve application 26-48 with the condition that the rear yard decks not be enclosed.
Second.
As amended.
As amended, I'm sorry.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Next application is application 2647 of Dominic Associates LLC, property located in Deer Park.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Joseph F. Bazell, Bazell Bland of Visconti, 535 Broad Hollow Road, Suite B4 in Melville.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated April 9th, 2026. Environmental Control memo dated April 14th, 2026. If we were to approve this application, it would need a negative declaration. What else do we have? We have a Fire Marshal's report dated March 30th, 2026. C16 comments issued by the Fire Marshal. Did you get a copy of this? There was-
Yes.
Okay, and there's comments by him evidently? I don't have it.
I have planning and I have environmental.
You don't have it by the Fire Marshal?
No, I don't have, wait, hold on a second, I got another copy. No, no.
It should be in the portal. It's subject to the planning board condition, the fire marshal reviewed.
Yeah, look, we know we have to go through planning board, that's fine.
Okay, we have a survey by Nelson and Pope dated October 24th, 2024. Plans by Nelson and Pope dated August 22nd, 2025. 3 photographs and an affidavit of posting. Would you like to tell us about the application?
Thank you. The application seeks variance relief related to the construction of 2 one-story warehouse buildings. The property is located at the southerly end of Lucan Drive, which is south of Grand Avenue in Deer Park. The site is presently vacant. It's zoned industrial G. Now, G requires 15,000 square feet. This site has 46,000, so it's 3 times that, but it's only 60 feet wide. Now, while G requires only 50 feet of frontage, to get 50 feet of frontage to 15,000 square feet, you need a lot 300 feet deep. This lot is 100 feet deep. It sits at the end of the road. The road comes in the center of the site, perpendicular to the site. The property flares out 200 feet in each direction. Basically, it forms an upside-down T. It's a very strange acre, wide but shallow. Proposing 2 small warehouse buildings, each 1 story, 7,043 square feet. The buildings are designed for the site. Each building will face the parking area, which is in the center, which provides ready access for parking to both buildings. Each building has 1,037 square feet of office space. It's in the front with an entrance door. The remaining space will be used for warehousing. Each building will have 2 overhead doors facing the center of the property with spaces in front of them. Vehicles, including small trucks, can be stored indoors in these buildings. As to benefits of the site, central parking available to both buildings. The refuse enclosure is straight ahead from Lucan Drive in an open area, gives it plenty of room. The open area of the site provides plenty of room for movements for cars and trucks. So basically, for those spaces on the south side, there is a 52-foot backup aisle. And if you looked at the spaces, the backup space between the 2 truck spaces, it's 174 feet. No outside storage is proposed. Consent to a covenant against outside storage. Providing 17 spaces and 4 loading spaces. However, there is overlap. People using the office will be working in the warehouse and vice versa. These are single-tenant buildings. They're mom-and-pop units. This is not Amazon. No designated staff based in the warehouse. The 4 truck parking spaces, when the trucks are out in the field or in the garage, those spaces are available. The FedEx guy or the UPS guy or the mailman will probably not even need a parking space because that site is just so large. Refuse enclosure in the center for easy access. Mom and pop tenants, not corporate users. This is a good-sized space for a small tenant. It is not, there'd be no interest from a larger company. We are under the building area, 40% allowed, 30.6 provided. We meet all the setbacks. We meet the setback to the condos to the rear. On the other side, on the condo property, is the condo's access drive, which has parking on both sides. On the other side of the access drive is their pool, their rec building, and their tennis courts. It's about 150 feet to the nearest condo. Conditions 11 and Covenant 8 deal with noise attenuation. There's been no objection to that. Building will meet all town noise regs. Site only requires the 2 variances. As to the surrounding area, this is the location of the old Deer Park Airport, which operated from 46 to 74. Lucan Drive is an industrial street. There are all the properties in this area, other than the condo, are industrial properties that are industrially zoned. Immediately next to this property is a recharge basin, which still for some reason comes up Deer Park Airport Corp. There's automotive uses and other things in that area. Again, as to the planning memo, it's an unusual site. 46,000 square feet of area, but only 100 feet in depth. Sits at the end of the road. The design reflects the contours and location of the site, and there are benefits. Central parking, easy refuse, plenty of room for vehicles or small trucks to maneuver. All-unit overhead garage door access faces into the lot. The alternative would be to move the building into the center, but there are a number of problems on that. Number one, we only have 100 feet of depth. So for trucks to have access, that once you take out the front and the rear setback buffers, it leaves 80 feet for the building and the truck maneuvers. And basically, unless you were gonna back up onto Lucan, that depth is just not functional. So you'd have to spin the buildings 180 degrees and catch them in the rear. You lose the convenience of the second central parking. Now you have to put the parking in what is to each building a rear yard, which makes it tight and secluded. It also means the trucks have to maneuver through the parking area where the cars would go because you're consolidating those two units rather than having the space. More difficult for trucks, more difficult for the garbage truck, and the view down the street is the side of a building. Also from Quail Run, to the extent you could see it over the fence in the landscaping, you would have one long building. It would be a bulky view, where here you have two buildings. It breaks up the view shed. It looks like two buildings flanking Lucan Drive. If Lucan Drive had extended, then you'd have to make a drive aisle around to the side of each building, and it would be tight for trucks and difficult even for many cars. So it's not preferable. Employees, conservative for high-density small warehousing, 5 to 8 for 14,086 square feet. Hours of operation, it's not a restaurant or a bar. Small warehousing is not known to have late-night activities. We'd expect the hours to be 7 a.m. to 5 or 6 p.m. Again, no outside storage is proposed. Consent to covenants and conditions which would prohibit such. And that concludes the presentation, unless the board has any questions.
Thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Montiglio.
Good evening, how are you? What's the current status for the planning board right now?
The hearing has been held, and we're awaiting decision, I guess you'd say.
Will any of these variants be affected by it?
No, I don't see it, like the two buildings on site is not going to be affected. The parking, there's nothing at issue in that case, to my knowledge, which would reduce parking any further. And remember, there's numerous things planning looks at: drainage, lighting. Changes to those things is not going to affect the variances. Okay. I'm not saying those changes may not be justified, but it would not have an effect on the variances.
All right, like the building, right now it's undeveloped, and the question I was going to ask you, why two buildings? And you did state a pretty good fact that the parking is the biggest problem, and each building's each side.
It's a really weird lot.
Yeah.
It's left over from the old airport. For whatever the reason, they didn't attach it to either Quail Run or any of the adjacent lots. So it left this, and it's an acre. It's not a small piece of property. The problem is it sits laterally at the end of the road, so you don't have depth.
So both these buildings are going to be separate tenants.
Single tenant each. They're designed only for one tenant per building.
So I really have no idea what's going to go in them right now.
There is no leases outstanding. With mom and pop leasing, you can't really even speak to a tenant until you have a building. Mm-hmm. Because they can't wait. They need to move when they move. It's different if you're dealing with Amazon or a larger organization, they know that things may take time, and they want custom built.
I really have no further questions, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board?
I have a question. Would you agree to a condition that each building only has one single tenant?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's designed for one single tenant.
Okay.
You know, like there's one office in each building. It's not readily subdividable. And there's not, you couldn't have separate entrances on the sides or the rear. You could see there's just not room for it.
Okay. Thank you.
You also agree to a condition that there shall be no outdoor storage of any kind on the subject premises, including but not limited to materials or vehicles without zoning board of appeals approval?
Absolutely.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? Come on up. Yeah, come on up there. Name and address for the record, please.
Alan Yaffe, Triangle Properties, 30 Jericho Executive Plaza, Jericho, New York.
Okay, and you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, sir.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
In looking at this, I'm a property owner on the street, and I see that they put a lot of time and effort into this, and it looks like it's a nice type of project. I'm sure the developer knows what they're doing. My question, I've always seen this property as a vacant piece of land forever, and I always thought that someday it'll get developed, and typically at the end of a street, there's a court. But in this case, there's not a court, so I don't know how like trucks or fire trucks or tractor trailers are gonna, when they come into the property to turn around, I don't know if they're gonna like, I own a property next door to this, and I just wanna know that it's not gonna like clog up the building next door on the north side. And I see that, you know, they're basically looking to reduce the parking in almost half. That might be fine, but I don't know if they reduce it in half, if they get a tenant that needs more than one parking space per 1,000 square feet, if it's going to clog up the street. Because if you go on the street now, during the day, you'll see that there are many vehicles that are already on the street, which is fine. The street works just fine. All the companies that are there, everybody gets along. I just don't know what impact by having half the amount of parking is going to, and not having a court is going to, if it's going to negatively affect. I'm sure the people that are going to develop this are high-quality people. I have no question about the look and the appearance of what they're going to develop. I just have a concern. I'm not saying I'm against the project. I'm not saying that. I'm just wondering how it's going to work with flow of cars and trucks going into both of these buildings. I always figured it would be two buildings, and I always thought that there would be a court, so when cars or trucks come in to visit both of these properties, then they'll be able to swing around, but I guess they're going to have to do it on this gentleman's
Looks like it's designed
property.
to be on site. the trucks.
That's all.
We'll
I don't want to make it like I'm a bad guy, because I was hoping that this property would
of course.
get developed.
We'll get 'em in.
And it'll just help beautify the area. So that's my comment.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have to say.
Would anyone else like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Mr. Bizzell? Maybe you can clarify.
Yeah, Lucon Drive is a dead-end, no cul-de-sac now. So that is not a condition proposed by the applicant. The open area of the site, traffic coming and going from the site will have plenty of room to turn around, enter, head in, leave, head out without going onto the road. That's one of the benefits of having that large central area. If somebody did drive down the street and realized they were going in the wrong way, they could enter this site and use it to turn around. Right now, you can't. You hit a dead end that's just a square line at the end of the street. As to parking, they're single-tenant units. If for any reason that there was some other use, then they would have to make some modifications and come back. There are ways you could add some parking to this site. In the northerly buffer area, but you probably have to take out one of those truck. You may have to take out one of those truck entrances, but that would be if that ever happens. Somebody would have to come back. The parking is sufficient for this particular use, and obviously, if somebody was running in and running out for any reason, they don't even need to park in a space. And the 4 truck parking spaces are available when any warehouse truck would be out in the field or in a garage.
So since you don't have tenants, you're not exactly sure like how many employees and so on and so forth?
No, but you can look at like 5 to 8 employees is like an industry standard for this type, for single tenant, small warehouse based on the amount of the square footage. You know, your bigger warehousing has more employees because like you go to Amazon, there are people whose job it is to be on the floor. And you don't have that in these types of units. You know, people come and go. The people who spend the day there are few. And the people who work in the office also help in the storage area, or at least some of them do. You know, so it requires less employees as an operation. You know, the building is designed for a particular type of a use. That use doesn't require a lot of employees. And you don't have the same variation in warehousing on size that you would in office space. Like, I'm a lawyer, my office has 3 people. But the guy who was downstairs doing in-person real estate closings, he had people coming and going all the time. So you have a great variation in office space depending on the type of a tenant. You don't have that in warehousing until you get large. When you get large, it's a different type of an operation. And it's the same for hours. Small warehousing is generally done by 6. Amazon may run 3 shifts. You know, so it's the nature of the use that generates the number of employees and the parking.
So when the trucks come in, they're going to pull in and then back into either one of the bays for the warehouse.
That would depend on what the truck is doing. I think if the truck is entering the garage, it may go head in.
Okay.
You know, if the truck is making a simple delivery, they may not pull all the way in. You know, that depends on what the delivery is. If a truck is making a significant pickup or delivery, they would probably back up. But they may back in, too.
Yeah,
You know?
in any event, they have the room to do either.
Yeah.
Pull in, back in, basically. I mean, that's what I'm looking at on the drawing here in front of me.
The distance from the end of those parking spaces to the buffer, so going north-south, is 52 feet. The distance between the 2 truck parking spaces is 174. That's roomy.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Nobody else wanted to be heard on this. So we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You get the decision in the mail. Thanks for coming down. I hope we explained the design and stuff.
I'm not trying to be a bad guy. Just
Okay, don't worry about it. Thank you. Next application is application 26-46. 56, 67, 71. Why are these numbers on here?
Hello, for the record, my name is
All these
Arismendi
numbers here.
Polanco.
Hold on a second. Okay. Property located in East Farmingdale. Name and address for the record?
57 East Carmen's Road. My name is Arismendi Polanco. I'm the depot manager for Nuco LLC.
Can you fill out one of these forms with your name and address for us, please?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. For the record, we have a planning division memo dated April 9th, 2026. A environmental control memo dated April 13th, 2026. If approved, this application will not result in significant impact. A fire marshal's report dated April 8th, 2026. No violations at this time. Suffolk County Planning Memo dated April 16th, 2026, a decision of local determination. Take no position for or against. And we have a survey by Robert Holtzman. Looks like it's undated. Plans by Brian Fisher, architect, dated August 25th, 2011. 5 photographs and an affidavit of posting.
Mr. Chairman, in your packet, we have item number 5. It's a letter from a neighbor complaining of noise from this location. And I believe they submitted video footage as well, and I don't know if we can pull that up or not. Item number 5 in your packet.
Okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
I'm sorry?
What would you like to tell us about the application?
We're just here for renewal, like we do every 4 years. I mean, since 2021, I believe.
Okay. Are you the same tenant that has been running this operation?
Yes, sir. And nothing been changed since the last time that we was here.
Okay. And there's no change to the operation or to the business, how it works and everything like that? There's also something about it. And you would agree to a condition that this be subject to previously imposed conditions for approval of hours in operation? Those are all going to stay the same, the hours of operation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so talk to us.
Just want to put it on the table. The truck go there probably for 1 hour, and we out of that area for 11 hours. We come back 11 hours. We just go there to fill the truck, and then we come back to the depot. So it's not like disturbing for any. Obviously, it made noise, but not like we there all the time. We just go there, fill the truck, and they move. I'm only myself in the office, but the driver just go in, go out for 11 hours, come back 11 hours later.
What noise is being generated? I mean, the video didn't really.
So we fill the truck for CO2, and then from there we move on and deliver every store like McDonald's and
So
bar
does it
restaurant.
make noise as it fills up the truck?
Yes, sir.
Is there any way that can be muffled?
Not really. I mean, we've been there more around 30 years, and this is the first time that I heard somebody complain about the noise. What time do you do that? Because
Yeah, what time does this noise occur?
we don't have it like, obviously we open for the service, we open 24 hours. But the driver go there, like I say, I have driver at 8 a.m., they fill the truck, they go and come back 11 hours later, and we fill the next day, and we do the same thing over and over.
You ever there at 3 a.m., 4 a.m. in the morning?
Nah, well, sometimes if you can see in the picture, the big truck coming from different state to fill the truck, to fill the receiver.
So then
on the job.
you have other trucks coming in besides yours to deliver.
To fill the
Oh,
big,
to fill
the big receiver.
Oh, okay.
So are they there at those hours, like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning?
That can be, but I can say 100% because they coming they send it without notice. So we don't know what time they're gonna come in. Because they're coming from different states. We don't make CO2 in Long Island.
So what noise would that generate? I mean, does he leave the truck running while he's doing this? Is that,
I'm sorry, say that?
I'm sorry, does he leave the truck running while doing this, the driver?
No.
The
The noise is like a spray. Because they have to blow it out pressure to pull liquid inside the receiver.
And how long does
this
this
is
take?
not spend. This is not take more than 1 hour to do that, and to fill any other regular truck, it probably 30 minutes.
Is there a way for them to not come at 3 or 4 in the morning?
I can send the email.
Just to regulate the
Just
hours?
keep in mind, like sometime a snow day coming, and they have to prepare to come here to not hit the road when it's snowing. So it's a lot of calculation, so they don't be in the road in danger situation.
I understand that, but from the complaint over here that I'm reading is that it happens many times where they're coming at 3, 4 in the morning.
That
Not just one time and then that's it.
Can you look into that? Is there a way that you, now where are they coming from? They're coming from like out of state?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is there a way that we can, make it so that they're not being delivered at that hour, even if he has to wait a little bit to
Yeah, I
deliver?
will send the email to prevent that from happening. Like I said, I feel weird right now because we've been doing this for a lot of time. This is the first time, and I don't know if you guys have it in records that we have a complaint with somebody. I wish he can come to me and then we can address the situation in the way that.
Yeah. How often do you get deliveries?
2 times per week.
2 times a week?
Yeah.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? The record, there are none. We're going to close the hearing.
Just make the amendments first and clarify if there's a storage building on site.
No, it's not. We removed it 2021.
Oh, you removed it in 2021?
Yes.
So they can delete that variance to allow 2 buildings? There's no other building on site, you only have 1 building?
No, we lease 1 building. 57 East Carmel Road. That's the building that we are.
There's only one building.
There, we lease, yes. But it's more attached.
Right, you have a tenant space within the building.
No, we lease just our side.
Right, so there's other businesses in the building?
Yes.
Okay. Is there a storage building anywhere on site?
No,
None of the other businesses have a shed or anything like that?
not that I know. We used to have a shed, and that's why it's being marked, being removed in the survey.
Okay, so the storage shed has been removed.
Yes, 2021.
So then I think we can delete that variance.
Okay. I'll make a motion on application 2646 to delete variance number 2 to allow 2 buildings where 1 is permitted. All in favor?
And then it should just read that this is in a portion of an existing building. They don't occupy the whole building.
Where do you want to put that?
Home connection?
Oh, okay. I was looking at that. Okay, so it's all in connection with a portion of an existing building. You said we're going to amend it to that.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. You'll get the decision in the mail I need you to see if you can get these deliveries made at a more reasonable hour than 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And can you get back to us on that?
Yeah, through the same portal?
To the zoning board, yeah?
Yeah.
To the zoning board office, okay?
Sounds good.
All right, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Next application is application 26-49 of Flintstone Cannabis, property located in East Farmingdale. Name and address for the record.
Good evening. For the applicant, Gerard Glass, 72 East Main Street in Babylon. And with me and setting up is Nick Buscemi from High Point Engineering.
All right, for the record, we have a planning division memo dated April 10th, 2026. We have environmental control memo dated April 14th, 2026. If we were to approve this application, it would need a negative declaration. Fire marshal dated April 14th, 2026. There's a number of items on here. You have that, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Suffolk County Planning dated April 16th, 2026. Decision of local determination. Take no position for or against. We have a survey by Galea Surveying dated December 27th, 2019. Plans by Chris Tagliolera, Property Group, dated February 13th, 2026. 4 photographs and an affidavit of posting. Okay. Would you like to tell us about the application?
Yes, thank you. By way of introduction, the applicant seeks a special permit to operate a retail cannabis dispensary at Lot 14.02 on Broad Hollow Road in East Farmingdale. Flintstones, the applicant, has a 10-year lease at this premises. It is a strip center. Tax Lot 14.002 is comprised of 2 multi-tenanted buildings, and also part of Floor & Decor, for those of you who are familiar with that location. Exhibit B in the package that I've handed up has photos from various directions that I think are particularly helpful to get the lay of the land here, because this is not like most of the cannabis applications you hear. It's not on a small lot. It's on 4.2 acres. That in and of itself is what is unusual about this application. The application seeks a special permit for the cannabis use, but it also, and I think more specifically, the heart of the application is the relief that it seeks under 267(4) and 267B of the town law. That's because pursuant to your town code, when the town fathers adopted this cannabis law, they put a 750-foot requirement in it. That's different than state law. And that 750 requirement says you must be that distance from a residential zone. The town interprets that 750-foot distance or buffer zone requirement to show in this application that we're only 620 feet away from the residential zone, or 130 feet short of the requirement of 750. Nick Buscemi is here. He's going to briefly explain, as the engineer from High Point, the variance and the site, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Nicholas Buscemi, PE of High Point Engineering, with an office located at 1860 Walt Whitman Road, Suite 600, Melville, New York, 11747.
Okay, and do you affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
As Mr. Glass mentioned, the applicant is to utilize a 1,500 square foot portion of an existing building, part of an overall development. The lot which the building is located on is approximately 4.2 acres, and the tenant space is shown on the plan over to the right and was shown on the board earlier is 932.3 feet away from the nearest residentially zoned or used lot. The application also allows for the 8 parking stalls, which is permitted per the code as a retail use, and is to be utilized for such. As part of the review, I have reviewed the town's Department of Environmental Control's departmental review and recommendations, and I'm in agreement with their findings. I'm happy to answer any questions in regards to the site plan and/or the floor plan that you may have.
Any questions from the board? No? Thank you.
Very welcome.
So this is a challenging application, and the reason it's challenging is because planning has recommended against it. They indicate in their recommendations that the board has never granted relief from the 750-foot setback. Well, it's a new code. So, and with people like Joe Buzzell here, give it time, because some lawyer like myself or Joe is going to come up and say, I've got a reason why. And I think we do have a reason why here, to disagree with planning in this particular instance. We think, one, the code's being misapplied. I think it's being misconstrued. I think your code itself, on its face, is ambiguous, and I'll tell you why. The second part of our argument is we think even if the code applies, that this is a perfect case. Planning's memo challenges the applicant to say, why is it unique? Why should you be entitled to an area variance? And we're prepared to explain why. Let me start with our first argument, that the code is being misapplied. And I tried, honestly, in preparing for this hearing, to reduce this to its simplest form, because I know you have a lot of cases on, and I want to keep this brief, and I will. But in Exhibit E, we compare the two sections of your code, which are 213, 166.3B versus 213, 166.3I. This is a strip center. Your code in 3B says the line of the property line, the line of the property to the lot line of the residential zone is how you do this measurement. In 3I, though, it says you measure the lot line or the distance, that's 750 feet, from the lot line of the premises. Well, when you don't lease the entire property, you lease the premises. In a strip source circumstance, we're leasing 1,500 square feet. We're not leasing the Floor and Decor lot that is literally a great distance away if you have an opportunity to drive up there and see. So in a strip store circumstance, the strip store is your store. That is your premises. So we say, when you look at these two conflicting provisions of the code, the ambiguity in this circumstance should be benefiting the applicant, and that no variance is needed. We understand that you may reject that argument. So let me tell you why I think if you do reject that argument, this is still a good case for relief, notwithstanding planning's recommendation. Here, if you look at Exhibit C, which there's a whole group of photographs in there as well, you can see that it is a wide expanse of property to get to that residency zone. Behind the premises where we say that you should measure from, the rear of the space that we're leasing, it's actually 932 feet if you measure from there all the way to the residency zone. The 620 feet, just to be crystal clear about this, comes from the boundary line of this 4.2 acre oversized lot that we are an ant on. We are just rent a small portion of this. Floor and Decor, for goodness sake, is one of the tenants on part of the lot. So here's why area relief is appropriate, even if planning is right as to the way they've interpreted the code. It's because it meets the balancing test. So the town board, when it decided that they were going to open the door to these kind of applications, cannot open the door and then say, don't vary the code, because you're an independent board. And on the state law, your obligation is to grant area relief when it's appropriate, when it meets those standards in the town law for variance relief. So planning says in their memo, what are the site-specific unique aspects of this application that justify the variance? That's the question that's at issue here. Well, first, the site's 4.2 acres. This is not Beau Buds on a 100 by 200 lot. It's this giant piece of property. Can you imagine if this is sited on a mall-like property, how unfair it is to say that dimensionally you're restricted to this boundary line argument. The lot's oversized. The tenant doesn't have control of all of that. So if the lot was smaller, I would say perhaps I would agree. But most importantly, you have to say, why did the town board, when they enacted this ordinance, provide this separation from the residential zone? They don't want a detrimental impact. They don't want mom and pop that are living in that residency zone to be impacted by this use. That's the reason for the code. Well, here, there is no impact. And that's why it's unique, because of the size of the lot. The store is all the way on 110. Between the store and the residency zone, there are several commercial buildings. They're shown in Exhibit B of our packet. They include an entire office complex. So our impact would have to literally go through that buffer of an office complex. In addition, you have Floor and Decor, you have a CubeSmart that partially block the impact. You cannot, by either car or by pedestrian access, get through these lots to the residential zones. There is a map. I drove the area myself, and there is a map that's attached in your package that shows you would have to go outside and travel a mile by car or walking to get to the residential area. So really, the residential area is isolated. In addition, at the backside of the Floor Decor lot, there is a fence that is, treed with a significant buffer that I suspect this or your planning board required of them, that is between it and the office complex. So to suggest that there would be any impact on the residential area, which is the whole reason you need this setback, I think is untrue. It's incorrect. There are no variances. The application itself otherwise conforms to your code. And you are faced with this conundrum as a board because you've got planning on the one hand that says don't approve it. Look at planning's memo. They don't say why. They always say why. They don't have a reason. Look at environmental controls memo. Environmental controls memo says the proposal will not result in substantial adverse change to air quality, water quality, traffic, noise, or community character. That's the standard in the town law that you are to review when you take an application like this for area relief. So I think your own experts in the town have given you a basis to grant this application. In fact, it's not just a basis to grant it, it's an obligation to grant the variance. Even though you don't want to open the door to this. I understand, I get it. My client gets it. I sat them down, I said, They don't want to open the door to you impinging on that residential zone. When planning says, why is it unique? This is the most unique case you're ever going to get because of these buffers by both buildings and by fences and by plantings that are all shown in your packet. So that addresses the variance issue. And, you know, usually when you present these applications, I'm spending the whole time trying to explain to you why this is a good dispensary application. I'm obliged to do that, of course, and I'll do that very briefly because planning also mentions they'd like to know what the business plan is. These are experienced operators. They are here in the audience. They have other facilities in the state that they manage. The hours that they propose are 9 to 9 from Monday to Saturday, Sunday 10 to 8. That is conformance with relief that this board consistently grants. We agree to that. The board has always asked, what is the security? What security guard? There will be a New York State licensed security guard 1 hour before opening and 1 hour after on site. Security cameras will be in operation. The premises will be fully alarmed with central station. There is no construction contemplated to speak of in connection with this application. There will be no on-site storage on the outside of any nature, which is something I see in your decisions. We expect no noise from this application. There will be no outdoor events, which is a condition you've imposed on other applicants. No odors, no loitering. The building's sprinkled. The refuse is nominal, and it's in an enclosed dumpster. They ID check as they're required to. They will be fully compliant with state law. They are fully aware of what their obligations are, and there would be no on-site consumption. So the last thing I want to mention before I close is that look at the state cannabis law. It's in Exhibit J, and it provides that the town law cannot make your code that we're asking for relief from, cannot make operation of a cannabis dispensary, and I quote, unreasonably impractical. If your ordinance prohibits it, and if you walk the party line where the planning is saying, look, we don't want to ever waiver this code, you're not meeting your function. Your function is by state law, not what planning tells you. It's by state law, and I have a great deal of respect for planning. I just disagree with their position on this particular application, although I understand it. You have to ask, is in a 750-foot environment, 130 feet on a 4.2-acre tract, making this unreasonably impractical to open this kind of facility? It meets every other requirement of your code. I suggest to you respectfully that the answer is that this application should be approved, the area relief granted, and I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. So on this, what is this? Exhibit C, where it shows the 932, which is what you're saying is the actual distance, right?
With the help of High Point Engineering.
That's taken from the corner of the building. So where do you believe that it should be taken from? I'm curious.
I believe that that's even closer than the corner of what we're renting. It's approximately 932 feet to the premises as well, which is highlighted in red on that overhead.
Okay.
It is, to get to that residential area, if you drive it, I had to take some of the photographs. I had to go over the fence and take the pictures like this to get the office building, then go around the block to the office building, which is it's a 500 Corporate Drive. It's a big facility. You get in that facility, to find the residential area, you got to go to the back of that. So these buildings are just natural or unnatural, as the case may be, buffers that there is no way there's going to be any impact on the residential C zone that is to the west.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any questions? From the board?
Making deliveries?
They will make deliveries, yes.
Will they have a company vehicle that's,
Will not be stored on site, stored off-site.
okay?
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Okay, so we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision, and you get the decision in the mail.
Thank you for your time.
Can you please upload this to the portal?
Sure.
Do you have a PDF?
Yeah, we'll do it tomorrow, sure.
Thank you.
Next application is application 26-34 of Village Line Auto Body, property located in Amityville. Name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. For the record, Laura Ellis of Laura A. Ellis PC, 85 Broadway, Suite F, Amityville, New York.
For the record, we have a Planning Division memo dated April 10th, 2026, environmental controlled memo dated April 13th, 2026. Just mentions in here about storage of automotive fluids and so on. That it should be taken care of. Fire Marshal's report dated April 3rd, 2026. No violations found, has a valid permit. Excuse me. Suffolk County Planning Memo dated April 16, 2026. Decision of local determination. Take no position for or against. And I don't get to say and anymore. We have a survey by Frank Bartolinsky, Land Surveying, dated July 23, 2015. Plans by Bennett Design, Inc., dated September 30, 2015. 4 photographs and the affidavit of posting.
There's also a number of letters in support of this application. They're found in exhibit number 2 in your correspondence.
Okay. What would you like to tell us about the application?
Good evening. So we're seeking renewal of a special exception permit to operate a public garage for auto body repair, all with an existing building. The property is located in an industry GB zone on Albany Avenue and Reed Place. This was previously approved for 2 years. We're requesting the renewal of the special exception permit. This lot is approximately 21,200 square feet. There is a one-story building on this lot. There are no open complaints, as you can see from the pictures and also in one of the reports. It is a very well-maintained property. The applicant, Village Line Auto Body, has been operating at this site since 2016. And the applicant is, Andrew Nuss is the sole shareholder of the tenant as well as of the property owner. No changes have been made to this site since the board's last review. We are requesting an approval period of 3 years, which is consistent with the planning staff's recommendation.
Okay, thank you. Turn the hearing over to Mr. Parodi.
Good evening, how you doing?
Good evening.
So I did drive by earlier today, and it was very neat and kept to according to everything planned. Just a question, do you agree to the previously imposed standard conditions and the covenant and restrictions for auto body repair shops?
Yes.
Okay. And you did answer my other question as far as if there have been any changes in the business plan or anything. I'm good. Mr. Chairman, no more questions.
Any other questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? Come on up. And
Do you need
Name your address for the record, please.
Lisa Johnson, 36 South Park Place.
And do you affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
What would you like to tell us?
I just want to say that the last time we were here, there was issues with the employees parking on a block on South Park Place. That definitely has gotten better. There were issues with when they were coming to drop off our cars, the tow trucks, they were unloading right there on Albany Avenue. That has gotten better as well. I just hope that if this is renewed, that they stay consistent with not parking on our street, South Park Place. That is a residential block. There are kids who live on the block that are under the age of 3. They get on the bus. There's one that gets on the bus in the morning, and there's a daycare that's right across the street as well. So if they park on our street, then that affects the kids playing on the block, number one, because the cars, they don't do the same respect in terms of driving on the block. They also, just as a reminder, when Geico comes, I guess, to assess some vehicle that may be over there at the facility, they have been parking on a block recently. Matter of fact, today, when I came home from work, and I live in the middle of the block, there was a Geico car that was parked at the end of my driveway. I took a picture, I went over and I knocked on the door, and I said, "Hi, are you connected with that business at the end of the block?" He says, "Yes." I said, "Do you see the signs that are up here? You're not supposed to be parking here on the street." We actually put signs up on our block, no parking. Or I think it's like 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. So if this is granted, I'm just asking that they be consistent. They talk to Geico and say, do not park on our block. Find some place to park. I think what's happening with the employees now, they're not parking on our block. They just went over a street. That's up to that block to complain. Our block does not deal with it.
You don't speak for them?
I don't speak for them. And I have my neighbor here as well. Another neighbor is going to come, but she is sick, so she was not able to come.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Would anyone else like to be heard on this application?
Just in response, I'd just like to say that we can speak with Geico and have their representatives just advise them not to park on there and make sure that they understand there's no parking on that block. Employees are not parking on that block, but we can speak with Geico.
Well, it seems like you cleaned things up. I mean, you made the neighbors happy over there, so that's a good thing. So.
Thank you.
Name and address for the record, please.
Yes, good evening. Andrew Nuss, 250 North 5th Street, Lindenhurst.
You
Go
affirm
ahead.
to tell the truth?
I do.
Okay, what would you like to tell us?
Okay, I just want to say that we have improved our parking because I had the employees get assigned parking spots in the backyard. So we're able to control it a little better. As far as the Geico issue, I did not know about it, and I apologize for that. I'll take care of that. I'll let the adjusters know. I know them on a personal level. When they come down, I will advise them, each one of them. I do know a few that do park in the front of the shop, but unfortunately, I did not know they were parking on Park Place there. I do make sure that there's nothing on that block parked, over there from us at all. And I think we took pretty good control of that situation. As far as unloading vehicles from the tow truck, there is none. It's just in the backyard. We may get 1 or 2 calls a week, and we unload them in the backyard and store them inside our storage facility.
Okay, thank you. Seems like you're doing a good job, and I'm sure you know the neighbors, and, so if you got a problem, talk to him. How's that?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Chairman, I make a motion to approve application 26-34 with the conditions previously imposed, standard conditions, and the covenant restrictions for auto body repair shop for 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming down. Which trees did you kill?
I will have Nicole do it.
Thank you.
This is the only case on which I'm allowed access to the portal. And every time I go there, whatever document they tell me has just arrived never seems to be there. I am not of the computer age.
Okay. Next application is application 2626 of MRM Ventures, property located in Farmingdale.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the applicant, Joseph F. Bazell, Bazell Blander of Visconti, 535 Broad Hollow Road, Suite B4 in Melville.
For the record, we have a planning division memo dated April 10th, 2026. Environmental control memo dated April 14th, 2026. If this were to be approved, it would need a negative declaration. Fire marshal's report dated February 27th, 2026. No violation at time of inspection. Suffolk County planning memo dated March 19th, 2026. Decision of local determination. Take no position for or against. We have a survey by Barrett, Bonucci, and Van Weel dated December 8, 2025. Plans by Thomas Walsh, architect, dated 12/22/25. 4 photographs and the affidavit of posting.
Please take a moment to look at the letter, that's number 6. It's in your packet. It's from neighboring business, Target, stating that they believe this proposed use is in violation of the lease agreement, or the easement agreement.
I have not seen the letter.
Item number 6.
Yeah, crazy.
I guess preliminarily, I'll address the Target letter. Apparently, there is a operation and easement agreement. I've heard about it. I've read portions of it. It's a private agreement between independent landowners. Whatever the rights and duties in that document are, they are separate and apart from the Babylon Code. Zoning boards do not have the authority to enforce or determine private property rights. So obviously, my client has to talk to Target, but any issue is between two private parties. The application concerns an adult non-medical cannabis retail dispensary. It is located on the east side of 110 in East Farmingdale, 108 feet north of Millbar, zoned industrial G. The lot is 47,127 square feet, or 1.08 acres, with just over 100 feet of frontage and an average depth of 437 feet. It's improved with an existing strip shopping center which faces north. The parking is on the north side. It's a single-story building of 17,644 square feet that supports 8 tenant units. There are existing COs, they're in the package, there are 17 of them, which also include the units at issue here, including Eyeglass Depot. There is shared access and shared parking with the Target property. No parking variance is actually necessary. The site has 65 spaces, not in dispute. On paper, it requires 89, but that's not the calculation in this case. The property is part of a master site plan, which includes the Target property, known as the Willow Park Center. Parking for Willow Park Center, not just the strip, which forms a part of it. On December 4 of 2014, this board granted a parking variance in application 14-247 That approval and the underlying master site plan were part of the package to diminish parking from 737 spaces to 587. As the site plan indicates, everything in this building was calculated as part of that application, and my client would be a retail use. The parking calculation for the units he would take were retail, so the parking has not changed. The parking variance has already been issued. There's no addition or expansion of the building. It's simply a change in tenant with retail replacing retail. Based on the 2014 variance, no parking variance is required for one retail store replacing another in an existing unit. All abutting properties, north, south, and east, are industrial G. To the north, there is, and east is Target, the other part of the Willow Park Center. To the south, there are industrial G-zone buildings on Millbar Boulevard. To the west is Route 110. Route 110 is one of the largest thoroughfares on Long Island. It links Amityville to Hale Site. It connects the LIE, the Northern State, the Southern State, Sunrise Highway, Montauk Highway, and 25A. Across 110 is SUNY Farmingdale, run by and owned by New York State. The applicant would occupy the southwest corner units. There would be 5,173 square feet on the first floor. It is a one-story building. The 3,946 would be open to customers. The balance is storage and employee-only areas. There is a 2,253 square foot basement, also storage and employees only. Other units in this center, there's an insurance office, a hibachi restaurant, takeout bubble tea, takeout chicken wings, and 2 vacant units. The parking area is in front of the store. There are 2 access points, both off the shared driveway connecting to 110. The tenant's work is internal, other than moving one exterior rear door. Only the main entrance is open to customers. The other entrances are for employees only. No facade work is proposed. Character and design of the building will remain the same. It's preserved. Signage will match the unit. Interior-wise, it's a clean and first-class operation as per New York State regs. And as per those regs, you can't see into the store from the outside. Adult customers would enter into a secure vestibule, which is staffed and has an age check. Then the customer may enter the store. There is an order process. You can't pick up something off a rack. There are no products which anybody can pick up or even touch. They're kept in an employee-only area in the rear. Examples are in display cases, but they have no access. You order at a computer kiosk, you then go to the counter. There is a second age check, then the customer pays for and picks up their order. No consumption on site, just retail sales. No drive-through window, no overnight parking. And if you look at the site plan, you can see there's no secure area to leave a vehicle overnight. No curbside pickup. There will be a state-of-the-art security system. Anticipated hours of operation are Monday to Saturday, 10 to 9, and Sunday, 10 to 8. As far as employees go, there would be 9 or 10, 8 in the store, plus a security guard. There would be delivery drivers, but they do not remain at the store. They simply pick up and leave. The northwest entrance and the 2 basement entrances, again, employee only. Retail cannabis, sale of a retail product, ample parking, no parking variance necessary given the prior parking relief, and these customers have a right to park on the target parking lot. No schools within 500 feet, no licenses within 1,000, no places of worship within 200, no public youth facilities within 500. So that brings us to the, I guess what is the most noteworthy issue. It is, the town has calculated 420 feet to Adventureland. There are three principal reasons why Adventureland is irrelevant to the application. They are all discussed in the legal letter. Adventureland is not a quote, public youth facility as defined in New York state law. And as per state laws, the advisory opinions that were issued by the regulatory agency and court cases, that if it's not a public youth facility, it doesn't matter. The town is unable to regulate it. Adventureland itself says alcoholic beverages, and state law does not allow local municipalities to prefer alcohol to cannabis. And even if the location was an issue, the measurement undertaken by the town does not comply with state measuring rules. Preemption is a tough pill to swallow. A local municipality develops a code which it feels fits its needs and preferences, and the state arrives and just says, you can't do that, we control this field. And that is what the state did here. And there are three advisory opinions, I'm not going to quote from them, the written ones are already turned in, that the state has preempted the field. The town does not have authority to regulate beyond what the state allows. The state allows separation distances between the units. It allows a 500-foot distance to churches and to schools, and a quote, public youth facility, which of course Adventureland is not. And the state does not allow alcohol to be preferred over cannabis. And Adventureland sells beer and hard seltzers and can sell wine and other alcoholic beverages within Adventureland. This is probably my favorite picture. It's inside the site. There are three groups of parents and their kids, and they all have alcoholic beverages. Nobody has any concern. It doesn't seem weird or unusual to us because alcohol has a long-standing relationship. The state is regulating cannabis along the lines of alcohol, but not quite that far. In the state of New York, it's illegal for minors to consume or purchase the beverage. It's not illegal for them to be there when the beverage is purchased. So if I go to the beer distributor or the wine store, I could take my teenage kids. If somebody goes to the cannabis store, they cannot. So there is some additional regulation here, but the state looks at it very much like an alcoholic product. And that's where the state has been moving. New York State has certain rules for distances where they allow distances to be considered, and their calculation is door to door, which means not property line, not to property line, not building to building. And entrance door does not mean a door with no exterior hardware, a door used for emergency or fire exits or maintenance purposes, or which leads to a part of the building not regularly used by the general public or patrons. So it's a door-to-door measurement, entrance door to entrance door. Here, let's look at a few numbers. The retail cannabis store is 68 feet south of the property line. In and of itself, that raises the distance to 488 feet, or 97.6 compliance. And we're not even going fully along what the state distance requirements provide. We're just making one adjustment. Adventureland is a fenced-in campus. Other than at secured and guarded entrance gates, no one may enter the Adventureland property. The entrance gates are on the north and east sides, not anywhere near this location or even in the direction of the store. The door-to-door distance from the entry door of the retail cannabis store to the retail Adventureland store is plus or minus 573 feet. But to do that, you need to cut through the parking lot of the adjacent strip center and then climb over a metal security fence. The door-to-door distance to the nearest public entrances to Adventureland are approximately 980 and 1,200 feet. The state has preempted the field here. The town adopted its code at a time when I think that was not clear, but it's certainly clear now. The advisory opinions and court decisions which came down last year are included in the legal package. If you had to look at it as an area variance, then you get into a balancing test, because it is a dimensional requirement, so it would be an area variance. It's weighing the benefit to the applicant against the detriment to the community. So in the present case, the variance relief is absolutely necessary. If it's not issued, the store can't open. The license the state would issue would be worthless. So it concerns the very ability to operate a major benefit. On the other side of the equation, there's just no harm to the community, including the fully enclosed alcoholic beverage selling Adventureland. There will be no undesirable change to the character of the surrounding commercial industrial neighborhood. It can only be, there's no options to the variance if it's required. There is no way to reconfigure or adjust on the site and make it work. It's not substantial. There's no impact on physical or environmental conditions at all. This is it's an internal change of a tenant. Simply moving a new tenant into an existing multi-tenant commercial building on an industrial property on a major highway corridor. No matter how the hardship arose, it's just not determinative. So on one side of the scale is the major benefit sought by the applicant, and on the other, there is no harm to the community. And if you look at uniqueness, Route 110 is one of the biggest industrial corridors on Long Island. It stretches from all the way down where Great Neck Road comes into Route 110, in fact, down to the Southern State Parkway, and it goes all the way up to the Huntington line. Adventureland exists in one spot. The only properties that would share the hardship are within 500 feet of Adventureland on the west side of the road, on the east side of the road only. That's a handful compared to the size of the area that we're talking about. So even if you're talking about it as a use variance or an area variance, it's obviously that the case, the application should be granted. The hardship is generated here by state preemption. There are other cannabis sites. Mr. Glass did a very good discussion of his site. As to the unique circumstances of his site being in the larger property with the buildings between them, I don't disagree with him. I think he didn't underscore the state preemption quite as much as it actually is, which is a tough thing for any municipality to swallow. You know, there is also a list at the end of the package which talks about other cannabis sites and recreational uses and residential properties that were not picked up in connection with those applications. I'm not going to get into the details. This is a clean upscale use. It complies with state law. The space is currently vacant. There are 4 vacant tenancies in this strip center. This would take 2 of them. So it's a positive for the site. It's on Route 110, makes it convenient. It complies with all the other bulk requirements of the town code. The parking relief was already granted by the prior application. It is simply a change in tenancies from one retail tenant to another retail tenant in an existing strip shopping center without enlarging the existing building in any direction, north, south, east, west, or up, on one of the most major commercial thoroughfares on Long Island. If the board has any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions from the board? Would anyone like to be heard on this application? For the record, there are none. Okay, we're going to close the hearing. We're going to reserve decision. Get the decision in the mail. Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes